Good evening. You're watching Kenya's third most preferred TV station. This is Switch TV News at 7. I am Lincoln Ombogo. Our sign language interpreter is Teresia Washira, and these are the top stories. Pocketing the elusive mountain vote ahead of the 2022 general election, Mount Kenya Kingmakers pledge to support Raila Odinga's presidential bid as he now rolls out a countrywide vote hunting mission. Police launch a manhunt for 5 suspected armed robbers who made away with an unknown amount of money after a 10 minutes robbery at Equity Bank in Machakos. Big 4 agenda boost. UK raised 20 billion shillings on President Kenyatta's first day of his 3-day visit to London. Glad you're watching. Over 30 minutes of the broadcast begins now. With growing political division in the Mount Kenya bloc ahead of the 2022 general elections and for a very long time being elusive to ODM leader Raila Odinga, a section of politicians from Mount Kenya have welcomed ODM leader Raila Odinga into the region to seek support for his presidential bid. The leaders lauded Raila as one of the leaders who fought for democracy, adding that he deserves to take over the mantle. Our senior political reporter Clifford Duby with more.
For a long time, the Mount Kenya vote has been elusive for ODM leader Raila Odinga in his quest to clinch the presidency. Though very popular, he has never enjoyed the support from the kingmakers from the mountain. But in a turn of events just about a year to the general elections, the man who was most disliked politically in the Mount Kenya is now enjoying the political bliss from the very region.
Wakati wowote ambao unataka kuingia hapa kwetu, milango yetu iko wazi na kura zetu hakuna mtu tumepatia, zote zimekaa hivi zinangojea uingie.
Sisi tukiangalia hiyo timu nyingine, Your Excellency, naona ni wakora tupu. Ukiangalia pande hii, you can see the entire business community is here. That shows a lot of confidence in your leadership.
In scattering the Deputy President William Ruto's narrative of the hustler and scuttle his growing influence in the region, leaders have rubbished his political spending spree, rather calling for a proper way to empower the youth.
Tuko na simba kibogoyo. Wengine wanarukaruka hapa kwa serikali ati mimi ni nini na nini.
You want to be rich. Why should you tell people that you want to lead a hustler nation? Who wants to be hustling? People would like to come from hustler to become prosperous.
But in a quick rejoinder, 2 Murang'a politicians have poured cold water on the visit by ODM leader Raila Odinga, saying it will not affect the popularity of the deputy president in the Mount Kenya region.
Murang'a is hustler nation, Murang'a is William Ruto.
Jaribuni bahati yenu, lakini hapa mlima tumeugana na tuko hustler nation.
Heavily shaping the political events of the country ahead of the 2022 general elections is the Mount Kenya bloc, and for now, the scramble for the vote continues between Raila Odinga and Deputy President William Ruto. Clifford Ndubi, Switch TV.
Thank you, Clifford Duby. The coalition of trade unions in the country, COTU, has blamed the government for the death of Kenyans who lose their lives or get injured after traveling to the Gulf to seek employment. Speaking on behalf of the union, Secretary General Francis Atwoli says the Ministry of Labour is said to blame for facilitating the existence of employment agencies that do not adhere to labour laws instead of stepping up and negotiating for labour migration conditions from one government to another.
We have come to a conclusion that Kenya government indirectly supports slavery through employment agencies. Issue briefcase agents under the guise of employment agencies. This is purely slavery. And sometimes these young men or young women land into the hands of unscrupulous employers, people who have no address in those countries, people who are hawkers. They are giving your daughter as an employee. Labor migration for those countries who are serious like Philippines, it is government to government, government of Philippines, government of Qatar, or government of Saudi. They sit down and work out as per how terms and conditions of service of those recruited young men and women going to serve in those countries shall is mandatory, shall be handled under strictness and supervision of the government.
Elsewhere, over 30% of teachers are concerned with how COVID-19 has been managed in schools. A report released by Teachers Service Commission has shown that a good number of teachers need further training on COVID-19 management in schools. Rachel Duarte with the story.
The Teachers Service Commission released a survey that was conducted during the holiday to understand the level of preparedness of teachers, especially with regards to COVID-19. Teachers who took part in the survey raised justified concerns about adequate resources available and measures to ensure the children are protected from COVID-19 and general health and medical cover concerns. The survey was conducted during the just concluded holiday period and involved 5,176 teachers. The survey suggests that 30% of teachers are concerned about how COVID-19 would be managed in overcrowded schools as the country anticipates the fourth wave of the disease, especially the Delta variant. 13% of teachers predict reopening will greatly increase their workload.
We are aware that with the return of the 15 million learners and the classrooms to other classrooms, resources will be more constrained. Yet, as teachers, we must adopt more innovative measures.
Secondary schools will also be anticipating a surge in population with the incoming Form 1 students to be admitted on August the 2nd. This year, the number admitted to Form 1 will hit a record of 1.17 million learners. This will push the secondary school population to 3.8 million students. The survey indicated 39% of the surveyed teachers were unhappy and unable to access medical service through TSC medical cover. At the same time, the TSC revealed that 158,678 teachers had received at least the first COVID-19 vaccination jab. However, Macharia raised concerns over 44% of teachers who had not yet received the first dose.
4.4% I think are those teachers who have not received any vaccination at all, to quickly go and get the jab, especially now that the school term has started and all the children are back in school.
Rachel Duarte, Switch TV.
Thank you, Rachel Duarte. Meanwhile, Joel Muite Daniel, one of the 660 people who applied to replace 4 commissioners who resigned at IEBC after the 2017 elections, wants the process disbanded, terming it as a criminal exercise. Muite spoke to our very own Caroline Sumer, and here is more.
2 days after the IEBC interviews in search for who will take Roslyn Akombe, Paul Kurgat, Margaret Mwachanya and Conin Carter's position are over. Joel Muita, one of the 660 applicants interested in the job, through a letter said he is dissatisfied with the shortlisting exercise. With an interview with Switch TV, Muita says he wants the process to be disbanded, terming it as a criminal exercise.
What we are saying is, if you shortlisted people who do not meet the requirement of the advertisement, then that is crime. I'm very confident to say that this was just completely a crime. It is a process that should not even continue.
According to Muita, the 36 shortlisted did not match the requirements as advertised on the dailies and cannot be trusted to foresee the 2022 general elections.
We saw people with serious integrity issues have been shortlisted. Now, are these kind of people that you want to watch and see that they are going to become commissioners of IEBC and overseeing our 2022 general election?
And what action will he take in case his letter is not responded to?
That is something that I've written to them. I'm waiting to hear their response first before I take any other move.
Kenyans now await for the 4 commissioners the 7-member panelists will appoint. Caroline Tuma, Switch TV.
Thank you, Caroline Simmer. An autopsy report presented by government pathologist Dr. Johansen Ador has confirmed that the cause of death of police officer Caroline Kangogo was a single gunshot wound after the bullet entered the body through the right chin and went through her brain. Ador stated that according to information attained by investigating officers, the incident took place at the scene. However, Ador revealed ongoing lab tests are yet to establish the manner in which Kangogo died. Kangogo's body was transferred from Iten Hospital to the Moi Teaching Referral Hospital Funeral Home for an autopsy earlier today. The post-mortem examination, which was to be conducted last week, was postponed last minute, pushing the family to postpone Kangogo's burial plans set for Saturday 24th this month.
This gunshot wound entry, it was a contact wound, meaning that the gun was on the skin. There was what made me thought so. There was a hole which is caused by the bullet. There was a soot. There was areas of burning and what is called muzzle imprint. Of course, there were stories of whether she was shot or she shot herself. We will be able to establish this once we've done other investigation which we are doing. We've taken swabs from the hand to find out whether there's any gunshot residues, which will be able to tell us that. You know, our job as pathologists is to establish cause of death. Manner of death, there are so many things which are supposed to be done to establish, and that's why we've taken sample to the lab to confirm what is called manner of death. There are three main manners of death: either suicide, accident, or natural. So manner of death we are going to establish once we see the lab results. Bullets went through the spine to the brain and the skull.
United Kingdom Foreign Secretary Raab has announced that 20 billion of new UK government and private investment will be made to boost Kenya's Big Four gender projects, including affordable housing and manufacturing. Further, 5.2 billion shillings of UK aid is to be matched by 3.5 billion of private investment aimed at financing 10,000 green affordable homes in Kenya. Talks on climate change were also held, with the President urging the European nation to honour their commitment of climate action in developing nations. In his bid to deepen the cooperation with the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, President Kenyatta has announced of the existence of an MOU aimed at formalizing the country's national treasury and the private sector infrastructure development group, PIDG.
We today once again invite UK investors to tap into these positive attributes that Kenya presents to the world. And indeed, I note today, and we are very pleased, that the Nairobi International Financial Centre Authority has teamed up with Citi UK to work together to develop and promote new opportunities for business to invest and to grow in both our countries.
In this regard, we wish to reaffirm that Kenya remains open to friendly and sustainable business partnerships, especially with the United Kingdom, with whom it has had a long and fruitful development relationship. We are particularly keen to strengthen our engagements with investors in the UK under the newly revitalized public-private partnership model.
Big win for Kenya's Big Four agenda. That story takes us to a short commercial break. Stay tuned, we'll be back with more. Welcome back. Thank you for keeping it Switch TV. The Cooperative University of Kenya has today kick-started a two-day conference that will focus on social and solidarity economy SSE. The conference that has been graced by Education Permanent Secretary Simon Nebukwesi and the university's Vice Chancellor Professor Kamau Ngemau will focus on social and solidarity economy as a catalyst for resilience, exclusivity and attainment of sustainable development goals in the cooperatives. Our business reporter Bron Mwende has spoken to the Permanent Secretary and the university's Vice-Chancellor and files the following report.
The 5th Annual Conference 2021 of the Cooperative University of Kenya has kicked off today. The conference, themed Social and Solidarity Economy, as a catalyst for resilience, inclusivity and attainment of sustainable development goals, is focusing on the cooperative's journey to recovery post-COVID-19.
And we are trying to see how cooperatives can help this country be able to be resilient. And so we are looking at social sustainability and solidarity so that we can be able to kickstart the economy.
What are some of the policies that you want to create from this conference?
It's a policy that will support the idea of communities, people within our country coming together to strengthen sustainable social capital.
All right, Professor, this is the 5th conference that you're having here in this university. What are some of the success stories that you've heard from the previous conferences?
The previous conferences have been all been around the cooperatives. As I have mentioned, the cooperatives are very key in the economy of any nation. As one of the speakers mentioned in the conference, that cooperatives contribute about 45% of the GDP of this country. In this country, we are talking about the Big Four agenda, and in 2019, the conference focused on the Big Four agenda. We are talking about the affordable health, about manufacturing, about food for all. We want everybody to be able to have access to food. So those are some of the things that we have been looking at. And what we are seeing is the key role of cooperatives. Everybody talks about SACCOs. SACCOs are actually one of the key components of cooperatives, which have been very successful in this country.
The event that has brought together industry stakeholders, policymakers, researchers and youth will run until tomorrow. Brian Mwenda, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Bron Mwende. Students' housing-based developer Akon Holdings is set to meet the rapid growth of urbanization through partnerships with various stakeholders. A move to build 1,200 purpose-built student accommodation bed capacity will enable the housing sector cater to approximately 20% of their student population. In addition, Kenya is undergoing rapid urbanization with 40 million new people expected to move into urban centers in the next 30 years. This rapid urbanization, combined with a large youth population, is driving a massive and acute need for student accommodation that is clean, safe, conducive, amenable and yet affordable.
We also have a construction pipeline of about 7,000 beds that are going all around Nairobi, from Karen to Hurlingham to Chiromo and other locations that are actually under construction as we speak.
The core business of Akon is providing student accommodation. This is a marriage made in heaven. By providing purpose-built student accommodation, Akon Holdings has in a significant way helped to alleviate one of our biggest challenges.
Meanwhile, police officers in Machakos County have launched a manhunt for 5 suspected armed robbers after a 10-minute robbery at Equity Bank. According to preliminary investigations, it has been revealed that they made away with an unknown amount of money. CCTV footage that has been making rounds on social media shows how a daring gang disarmed police officers guarding Equity Bank and robbing them their AK-47 rifles with 30 rounds of ammunition.
Crime rate is rising at an alarming rate in the country as thieves are doing whatever it takes to get away with robbery. Even police officers who are armed are now seen as an easy target. This is outside Equity Bank in Matu area, Machakos County. It was a few minutes past 9 a.m. and activities were going on as normal. Within a blink of an eye, 5 armed robbers are seen entering the bank through the main entrance. They had the audacity to disarm the police officer manning the bank and got away with 2 AK-47 rifles with unknown rounds of ammunition. The inside footage from the CCTV shows some clients being held hostages and one robber conducting what appears to be forced transaction with a bank teller while 3 others collect items from hostages. All this time, the commander of the team is outside looking out for the 4 inside. He's seen holding an AK-47 rifle, being very restless as he directs the team to get out as soon as possible. 3 of them are seen signaling each other as they head out calmly, poised as clients. Preliminary investigations have further revealed that the bank manager Michael Muridhi alerted police officers who were dispatched quickly to hunt down the robbers. Yatta Police Commander Mary Njoki said that the robbers later on engaged other police officers in a gunfight for some minutes and 2 police officers sustained injuries and were rushed to Matu Level 5 Hospital for medical attention. The robbers used a motorcycle to escape. This incident is not the first, as recently 2 robbers were seen snatching a phone from a traffic police officer at Kasarani roundabout. This incident is not the first, as recently 2 robbers were seen snatching a phone from a traffic police officer at Kasarani roundabout. Mariam Jahid, Switch TV.
Thank you, Mariam Jahid. Have you heard of the term hybrid electric vehicle? Do you have an idea of how it works? Apollo James gives us a brief introduction and a look at whether the alternative fuel vehicle is right for you. Take a look.
Let's talk about hybrid electric vehicles. Hybrid use both fuel and electricity. Both internal combustion and electric motors driving the wheels and batteries in store to distribute energy. The essential idea of hybrid electric vehicle is that these 2 types of propulsive systems work in harmony. First, a gasoline or diesel or biofuel internal combustion engine. It has 2 jobs: to provide mode of power and help charge the batteries of the vehicle. Second, 1 or more electric motors. These motors are located in different places in the vehicle depending on the manufacturer. Both motors are connected to a transmission and out to the driven wheels. The third component is a series of batteries that store and send out electricity. Batteries on hybrid vehicles don't ever need to be plugged in because their charging needs are met by the management system of the vehicle. Hybrid vehicle batteries generally last for the entire lifespan of the vehicle. The way hybrids manage all of this technology is through series of computers. They make decisions about where power is coming from and where it goes. Thousands times per second, they analyze the state of the charging system and figure out what you're commanding the car to do. If you're driving around 20 kilometers an hour, the car might ask the battery if there is enough power on hand for the electric motor to be your mode of power. If the answer is yes, the internal combustion engine turns off. You are now running on an electric power and depleting the battery resources. If the battery resources get too low, the engine comes back on to power the vehicle and to recharge the battery. Lots of technology, all working in harmony, all very reliable. Apollo James, Switch TV.
After failing to make it to the Tokyo Olympics quarterfinals, she just made a consolation after beating Japan 21-7 the classification match at the Tokyo